In a world that thrives on noise, attention-seeking, and emotional outbursts, the rarest power is calm. Not the calm of weakness or passivity, but the kind forged through discipline, self-awareness, and silent mastery. Imagine walking into any room and needing no words to command respect. Not because you're loud, but because your presence speaks louder than anything you could say. That's the kind of mind we're about to build, one so strong, so composed, that it unsettles those who rely on chaos. This video takes you deep into the heart of Stoic philosophy, not as dry ancient text, but as a living practice used by warriors, thinkers, and resilient souls across centuries. From Marcus Aurelius, guiding a crumbling empire, to modern-day individuals, navigating betrayal, loss, and pressure, Stoicism teaches one timeless truth: inner control creates outer power. You'll learn how to develop mental clarity in the face of confusion, emotional discipline, in a world addicted to reaction, and a presence so steady that people can't help but notice. Not with fear, but with reverence. By the end of this journey, you won't just understand Stoic strength. You'll embody it, and others will feel it even if you never say a word. Number 1. The mind shift that changes everything. If you truly want a mind that others quietly admire, or even fear, you don't begin by adding more. You begin by subtracting. Let go of the fantasy that life is fair, comfortable, or predictable. That belief is the seed of almost all disappointment. It's not events themselves that break us. It's the false hope that those events should have gone differently. That mindset is the first illusion, and it must collapse before real mental strength can emerge. From childhood, we're fed a silent narrative: be good, work hard, and things will fall into place. But Stoic philosophy doesn't entertain such illusions. The Stoics didn't look at life as something that owed them comfort. Instead, they understood life owes you nothing. It will unfold with chaos, setbacks, and loss, not as punishment, but as reality. And the shift begins when you stop resenting that truth and start preparing for it. It's not about fixing the world. It's about fortifying yourself. Think about the strongest people you've ever known. They weren't invincible. They were unshaken, not because they avoided hardship, but because they refused to let it shape their identity. They didn't panic. They paused. Then they responded with clarity. That moment of pause, that space between impulse and action, is where mental transformation lives. Resilience isn't sculpted in ideal conditions. It's forged in discomfort, under pressure, in the quiet moments when giving up feels easier than continuing. Psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl captured this better than anyone. Stripped of everything he found, one power the world couldn't take: the power to choose his response. That insight wasn't just inspiring, it was revolutionary. It shattered the illusion of powerlessness and gave birth to a deeper truth. Suffering can refine you if you let it. But to embrace that, you must stop seeing adversity as punishment. Begin to view it as a personal curriculum designed not to break you, but to reveal you. Just as a sword requires fire and friction to take shape, your mind demands challenges to sharpen. The greater the force against you, the deeper your clarity must grow. Have you noticed something else? Those who are the most reactive are often those who face the least. True resilience usually wears a quiet face. Those who've survived life's deepest wounds rarely raise their voice. They don't have to. Their calm is the statement. And the beauty is you don't have to wait for tragedy to build that. You can train for it every day by watching your thoughts like a hawk. Ask yourself, is this emotion helping or hijacking me? Is this situation shaping me or distracting me? What am I becoming because of this? These aren't self-help slogans. They're tools, mental weapons sharpened through reflection. And here's the turning point. Stop treating failure as a signal that you're broken. Start seeing it as resistance training for the mind. Because without being late, you'll never learn patience. Without being tested, you'll never know your depth. Without silence, you'll never discover your inner voice. A truly strong mind doesn't chase validation. It doesn't try to impress. Its power isn't in performance, it's in presence. When someone like that enters a room, others notice. Not because they demand attention, but because they don't need it. And that quiet power unsettles people, not because it's forceful, but because it mirrors the chaos they haven't yet tamed within themselves. So start now. The next time life pushes against you, don't ask, "Why me?" Ask. Instead, what am I meant to master here? That single question can reroute your entire experience. Because when you change the way you see your struggle, you change the way it shapes you. And that's the moment. Strength is no longer something you reach for, it's something you become. Number 2, habits you must break to grow. If you want to build a powerful mindset alone isn't enough. Growth demands more than belief. It demands subtraction. You have to cut the habits that quietly drain your strength. These habits often hide in plain sight. They seem harmless, even normal. But over time, they weaken your focus, dull your drive, and keep you locked in the same stagnant place. You can't transform your life if every day you slip back into the comfort of old cycles, complaining, delaying, avoiding discomfort. Each of these is a quiet agreement with mediocrity. Complaining, for example, feels momentarily satisfying, but every complaint is a subtle declaration that you've surrendered control. Over time, this mindset hardens into self-pity, and self-pity kills initiative. Instead of complaining, ask, "What can I do about this?" If there's no clear action, let it go. Mental strength isn't just knowing what to fight, it's knowing what to release. Another silent enemy. Comfort. Growth never happens in the cozy, familiar corners of life. It happens when you challenge yourself deliberately. Skipping a challenge because it's uncomfortable is the mind's way of saying, "I'm not ready yet." But real progress begins when you act anyway. That discomfort isn't a warning. It's a signal that you're on the edge of transformation. Excuses are another mental trap. They're clever, persuasive, and often dressed as logic. "I don't have time. I'm too tired. That's just not me." But the truth is, most excuses are fear in disguise. Fear of failure, rejection, or change. A disciplined mind sees through the story and chooses action anyway. You don't need perfect conditions. You need clarity and a strong why. And perhaps the most invisible habit of all, the need for approval. The need to be liked, accepted, or praised can quietly control your every move. When your decisions are filtered through what others might think, you trade your power for comfort. True Stoic strength is rooted in self-approval. As Epictetus taught, if you seek progress, be willing to appear foolish to others. Here's the truth. When you strip away the noise, the complaining, the comfort-seeking, the excuses, the constant need for validation, what remains is clarity. You rise, not because you gained something new, but because you finally released what held you down. So take a moment, breathe. Ask yourself, what small behavior do I keep repeating that I know is holding me back? You don't need a grand plan. You need one clear decision, one shift. Drop the habit, even if just for today. That's how strength is built, not with talk, but with small, repeated acts of discipline. And eventually, you'll realize you didn't need to change the world. You just needed to stop getting in your own way. Number 3. Daily practices for inner strength. Inner strength isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you cultivate deliberately and consistently through daily discipline. Once you've stripped away false beliefs and broken the habits that kept you weak, you're left with a rare opportunity. The chance to rebuild yourself, not with quick fixes or fleeting motivation, but with a structure that holds up no matter how unstable the world becomes. This isn't about clinging to temporary solutions. It's about creating something permanent, an internal foundation that doesn't crack when tested. And the only way to lay that foundation is through practice. Daily quiet, uncomfortable, and often unnoticed practice. Stoic philosophy was never meant to be a theory left on paper. It's a code to live by. And unless you live it, really live it, it remains just words. Mental resilience is not a mystery. It's not a gift passed down through genes. The Stoics saw it for what it really is, a result. A product of actions repeated until they shape character. That's why something as small as taking a cold shower can matter. It's not about the water. It's about the moment, the decision. Will you lean into discomfort to build control? Or will you slide back into old patterns? Physical movement plays its role too. A weak body drags the mind down with it. Strength training, running, or simply choosing to move each day is more than exercise, it's proof. Proof that your mind can command your body. That you can push through resistance even when no one's watching. It's not just discipline, it's dignity. But discipline doesn't end with movement. It continues in stillness. In those few minutes, you sit alone without distraction, without a screen, a task, or a voice filling the silence. That stillness, though uncomfortable at first, is where clarity lives. It's where you observe your reactions, catch your impulses, and reset your intentions. Because you cannot master your emotions until you've made time to truly notice them. And perhaps most importantly, strength grows through challenge. Not once a year, not when it's convenient, every single day. That means doing the thing you keep avoiding. Waking up on time, even when your body resists. Having that difficult conversation you've been putting off. Taking the step you feared because it might make you look foolish. None of these acts are glamorous, but all of them are powerful. Each one strengthens your will, and your will is the root of your freedom. Because, let's be honest, how often do you betray your own commitments in private? How often do you choose comfort over growth? Every time you do, you quietly reinforce weakness. But every time you choose challenge, even in small ways, you chisel away at the old version of yourself. Slowly, you become something different, something more solid. Epictetus once said that no person is truly free unless they've gained mastery over themselves. That truth doesn't need to be debated, it needs to be embodied. Freedom is not about escaping struggle. It's about facing struggle with purpose. It's the ability to do what must be done, regardless of how you feel about it in the moment. So ask yourself, when was the last time you willingly chose discomfort to become someone better? When was the last time you stepped toward growth without needing praise, support, or applause? Because real inner strength doesn't shout. It doesn't demand recognition. It moves silently, grounded in conviction. Others may not understand it. Some may even fear it. But they'll feel it because the presence of someone who has built themselves from the inside out always leaves a mark. If you're serious about becoming that person, start now. Not when you feel ready. not when life is easier. Now, begin with the small acts that no one sees. Wake up with intention. Move your body. Sit with your thoughts. Face what you fear. Build discipline not for show, but for stability. And when you feel resistance rising, when your mind starts whispering that it's too much, too hard, not worth it, remember, this discomfort is not the enemy. It's the test. And every time you meet it with calm and action, you're proving that you're no longer who you once were. You're becoming something more. And that more than anything is the true Stoic path. Number 4, rethink failure like a Stoic. Most people treat failure like a disease, something to avoid, hide, or escape from as quickly as possible. We're taught from an early age that failing means something is wrong with us, that it's shameful, that it's proof we're not enough. But to the Stoic, failure is not an enemy, it's a mentor. Not a pitfall, but a blueprint. It reveals the truth most people are too afraid to face, where we're still fragile, where we lack clarity, where our strength ends. Failure is not the end of the road. It's the terrain of real growth. To the untrained mind, it feels like destruction. To the Stoic mind, it's instruction. If you've ever missed an opportunity, been rejected, or felt invisible in a room full of people, then you've met failure. The question is, did you let it define you, or did you ask it what it came to teach? We tend to respond to failure with blame, denial, or distraction. But that's not strength. That's fear in disguise. A strong mind doesn't panic when it stumbles. It pauses, it listens, and in that stillness, it learns. Failure isn't something to rush past. It's something to study. The most respected people, the ones whose confidence feels unshakable, aren't those who always succeed. They're the ones who failed more than most, and who've turned those moments into stepping stones rather than scars. Their secret isn't brilliance. It's reflection. They treat mistakes not as personal verdicts, but as data points in the experiment of becoming. Catherine Schultz, Pulitzer Prize-winning author, once explored this in her book Being Wrong. Her insight: that the people who go furthest are often the ones willing to be wrong the most. They're not afraid to be flawed. They're afraid of staying stuck. If you failed, and you have, you're in good company. The Stoics didn't run from setbacks. They welcomed them, because they knew what most don't: failure is how the soul is shaped. Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx, was raised on this idea. Her father didn't ask her what she succeeded at each day. He asked her what she failed at. And instead of learning to fear failure, she learned to expect it, to use it as a signal that she was growing. You don't need to be a billionaire to practice this mindset. You need courage. The courage to let go of ego and pride. The courage to say, that didn't work, but I'm not done. The Stoic knows that steel is never forged in warm water. It's the fire, the pressure, the repetition that turns raw metal into a blade. Epictetus put it best: it is in hardship, not comfort, that we discover who we truly are. Success hides the truth. Difficulty exposes it. You don't truly know yourself until you've failed and refuse to collapse. The problem: no one teaches us how to lose with dignity. We're taught how to win, how to perform, how to outshine, but not how to let go of what we thought we deserved. Not how to feel deep disappointment and still get back up without bitterness. Being Stoic doesn't mean feeling nothing. It means learning to feel pain fully without losing yourself in it. When your heart breaks, when your plans fall apart, when the world turns away, your mind can still hold, but only if you've trained it. So here's where your training begins. Return to that failure you've been avoiding. Write it down. Stare it in the face. Don't try to fix it or explain it. Just study it. Learn what it exposed. Not to punish yourself, but to prepare yourself. Because the truth is, the fire doesn't destroy you. It reveals whether what's inside you is strong enough to endure. And if it's not, that's your next challenge. Build it. You've made it this far for a reason. You're not just watching a video, you're entering a new mindset. A harder, deeper one. One that doesn't just help you survive, but makes you impossible to break. Failure isn't your enemy. It's your training ground. And the world cannot ignore someone who has been broken, rebuilt, and is still standing calmer, sharper, and stronger than before. Number 5. Master your emotions under fire. Think back to the last time someone got under your skin. Maybe it was a dismissive comment, a smirk during a serious moment, or a sharp insult dressed as a joke. Your heart sped up, your jaw clenched, and your mind fired back with all the things you could have said. That urge to react. It's natural, but that doesn't mean it's useful. Emotions, especially in moments of tension, are like a storm rolling in fast. They flood your body before your logic has a chance to catch up. But here's the truth. What separates the strong from the reactive isn't the absence of emotion. It's the ability to hold the line while the emotion passes. Like a seasoned sailor navigating rough waves, it's not about fighting the storm, but knowing how to steer through it. Stoic philosophy doesn't ask you to be numb. It invites you to ask a better question. Is this reaction serving me? Is blowing up in a meeting going to fix anything? Will ruminating over a rude message online add value to your day? Or are you feeding your anger while it eats away at your peace? Emotions carry information, not instructions. You can listen to them without obeying them. That's where emotional strength begins, not by denying your feelings, but by choosing your response with intention. Picture this. A person walks into a high-stakes interview. The energy in the room is tense. The interviewer raises an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. But instead of bracing defensively or shrinking, the candidate smiles and says, "It seems like you might have a concern. May I clarify anything?" That simple moment of composure says more than any resume ever could. It says, I'm in control of myself even here. People who carry that kind of calm don't just earn respect, they command it. Not through volume or force, but through presence, through stillness. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. It's a simple line, but it strikes at the core of Stoic wisdom. Because if you truly grasp that your reaction is always a choice, you also lose the luxury of blaming others for your outbursts. A man once said, "It took me 2 decades to learn not to argue when my wife is upset, not because I'm passive, but because I've learned that speaking in anger never brings peace." He never studied philosophy, but his restraint was deeply Stoic. He chose stillness over escalation, understanding over impulse. You can do the same. And it doesn't require any special technique, just a habit. The next time you feel that internal heat, pause. Count to 5. That's it. Not to suppress what you feel, but to create space between what happens and how you respond. Space is where wisdom lives. There's an old proverb. A fool vents all his anger, but a wise person quietly holds it back. That's not weakness. That's power. Holding back doesn't mean being passive. It means recognizing that your energy is too valuable to be thrown at every insult or irritation. And something remarkable happens when you begin to live this way. You stop being easily disturbed. You become more stable, harder to provoke. People sense it. They may not know why, but they'll respond to the quiet confidence you radiate. You stop being just another reactive voice in the room and start becoming the anchor. Because the real test of emotional mastery isn't whether you can stay calm when everything is peaceful. It's whether you can remain centered when the fire is aimed directly at you. The Stoic doesn't deny the fire. He stands in it and refuses to burn. Number 6. Build an unshakable mental core. In Stoicism, mental toughness isn't something you're born with. It's something you earn. It's not loud, flashy, or easy to measure. It doesn't come with applause. It's developed in silence, brick by brick, through choices made when no one's watching. That's why it commands a different kind of respect, not the fear of force, but the reverence for someone who stays composed while others lose control. It might sound like philosophy, but Stoic strength isn't theory. It's built in the grind of everyday moments. Imagine sitting in a traffic jam that hasn't moved for 30 minutes. Your inbox is overflowing. Your phone won't stop buzzing. Then comes the email from your boss blaming you for something you didn't do. That's the moment. Not the words, not the pressure. Your response. That's what defines strength. You don't explode. You don't retaliate. You pause, breathe, and remind yourself, I've handled worse. I'm still here. That moment. That's the practice. That's the Stoic mindset in motion. It's not about dramatic self-control. It's about small, deliberate mastery. Think of your mind as a house. When storms come, some people run outside screaming at the sky. But the Stoic closes the door, checks the windows, and steadies everything from within. The world isn't going to get quieter. There will always be something trying to shake you, a problem, a person, a headline. But you only need one place to stay calm. That place is inside you. The challenge is learning to protect it. And you can. You can train for it. Start with a moment in your day that usually pulls you out of character. Maybe it's a driver cutting you off. Maybe it's an ignored message. Maybe it's just a coffee stain on your shirt. In that moment, don't lash out. Don't retreat. Just ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Is this reaction going to make anything better? If the answer is no, let it go. That one pause is the foundation of something greater. Over time, that pause becomes presence, and presence becomes power. Not power over others, but over yourself. That's what people notice. They may not understand you. They may try to test you, but they'll sense something in you they can't rattle. And that unsettles them, not because you're intimidating, but because you reflect the calm they haven't found in themselves. Let me tell you about Mark. Not because he's famous, but because he's real. He was a delivery driver in Ohio, working 12-hour shifts while sending money to care for his sick mother. One night, an icy road ended everything. His truck crashed. He lost his job. A week later, his girlfriend left. She couldn't take the instability. He was alone, broke and tired. But he didn't post about it, didn't complain. He just opened his phone and wrote a single line to himself: "No one's coming. So I have to come for myself." He found a job in a garage fixing trucks like the one he wrecked. A year passed, then 2. 7 years later, he published a book. It wasn't the crash that built him. It was the rebuilding. It was the quiet choice made daily to keep going. And you can make those choices too. Try something deceptively simple. Before you go to bed, write down one time during the day when you lost your center. Then write down how a stronger version of you could have responded. Do that every night. No judgment, just awareness. And slowly, day by day, you'll start building something that no one else can see, but everyone will feel. You won't need to explain your strength. You'll embody it. When others raise their voice, you'll stay composed. When they react, you'll remain rooted. Not because you're suppressing emotion, but because you've mastered it. That kind of stillness, that's not softness. It's strength disguised as calm. So if you're tired of being shaken by everything around you, start building your core now, not tomorrow. Not when things are easier. Right now, one moment at a time. Because when you learn to hold your ground in a world that's always shifting, you become the anchor. And people notice not because you shout, but because you never move. Number 7, why discipline beats motivation. If you followed this journey this far, there's one truth you can't ignore. Mental toughness alone won't carry you to the finish line. It keeps you grounded, yes, but it's not enough to keep you moving. To stay the course, especially when things get dark, you need something stronger than strength. You need discipline. Motivation is a guest. It comes and goes as it pleases. It visits you when life is inspiring, when you're rested, when things are exciting. But when everything feels heavy, when the path feels endless, motivation vanishes. That's where discipline steps in, not to inspire, but to command. You know the feeling. The alarm goes off before sunrise. The room is cold. Your body aches. And in your head, a quiet debate begins. Just a little more sleep. Just a slower start today. You hit snooze once. Then again. Eventually you rise, but not with clarity, with disappointment. Not because you're lazy, but because in that moment, emotion won the argument. Again, this isn't about being weak, it's about being untrained. An undisciplined mind will always give you reasons to wait, to delay, to soften your edge. And society will cheer you on, whispering, "Go easy on yourself." But discipline, it tells you the truth. That comfort is overrated. That results are earned in silence, not in bursts of hype. Most people build their plans on moments of inspiration. A video, a quote, a sudden wave of energy. But those moments fade, and so do the plans. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It says, it's time. Move. That's why the people you admire, the ones who seem unstoppable, aren't powered by passion. They're powered by practice, by decisions made so consistently, they've become reflexes. A quiet strength built not in public, but behind closed doors. A disciplined person doesn't rely on mood swings. They don't need to feel in the zone to act. They show up anyway. The writer writes when inspiration is dry. The athlete trains when their heart is broken. The builder keeps building even when the blueprint looks like a failure. Discipline creates stability in a world addicted to emotion. And stability is power. The kind of power that doesn't shout, but when it speaks, people listen. You can set goals, write a book, lose weight, build a business. That's a start. But goals are directions, not engines. It's your system that moves you forward. Your daily habits, your routines, your ability to act without ceremony, to do the thing even when no one is clapping. Discipline is not a punishment, it's a path, a code, a standard you hold yourself to, especially when no one else does. And it's that standard that separates those who try from those who transform. Look at your own life. How many times have you waited for the perfect moment, the right mood, the spark? And how many of those moments ever truly arrived? You don't need sparks. You need structure. Start with something simple. Wake up and do the thing you promised yourself. No debate, no emotional vote, just action. Let today be your proof that you are no longer ruled by fleeting feelings, but led by your own commitment. Because in the end, It won't be the loudest person who wins. It won't be the one who posts the most or speaks the most passionately. It will be the one who shows up again and again, regardless of the weather, the applause, or the odds. That's the person people can't ignore. That's the person they can't shake. And that person can be you. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. Because once you build your life on discipline, no storm can break it. No emotion can override it. And no one can take it from you. We've just explored 7 principles to help you build a mind so steady, so unshakable that it commands quiet respect. Not because you pretend to be strong, but because you live with consistency, calm, and control, even when life is pure chaos. Stoicism doesn't hand you a magic spell. It gives you tools. It doesn't say, feel better. It says, do the right thing, no matter how you feel. And it's in those exact moments when you don't want to keep going, but you do anyway, that your mind grows quietly, relentlessly, powerfully. You might not even notice you've changed, but one day, someone will ask, how do you stay so grounded? And you'll smile, because you'll know it wasn't luck. It was practice. If something in this video resonated with you, leave a comment. I want to hear your story, what you're pushing through, what you're working on. And if this journey speaks to you, hit subscribe. We've got more to learn. This path of inner growth, it's only just beginning. If you're ready to build unshakable strength through Stoic philosophy and timeless inner wisdom, hit the subscribe button now and join a growing community of calm, grounded power.